Hi Internet, it's me May. I'm wearing my headpiece that I made. It's pretty cool. It has amethyst in the middle. Um, but yeah, I just want to make a video about grief and kind of like a response to what happened in Connecticut with Newtown. And I kept hearing about it a lot through people, and it really instilled fear in people, really instilled confusion and anger in people who are looking at the situation from afar. Um, and I just also wanted to offer a perspective on it from one of my past lives when I was a little girl and when I was killed um, at age 7, and how that experience really shifted me to look at other tragedies. And I listened to some channeled information the other week that really kind of confirmed like what I was feeling and like how we all are in the bigger picture. So when I heard about the events, like I didn't react um, like some of my peers did or some of the people did. I noticed that I was in like gut wrench and um, in such state of anger and confusion. And that's because I knew that something inside me has shifted. Before, I would have be very, very angry with how things are so messed up in the world. And there was this one event when I was little. Um, I was born in Thailand, and there was an event in the news where two gunmen held up the school, and they it was a protest to a government, and as the update goes on, one gunman shot a little boy because he couldn't stop crying. And at that moment, like I was going through a lot of grief and anger and confusion, and was like, that's really screwed up. How can they not see how screwed up that is? You know? And so this time around, I felt like there was a shift once I found out one of my past lives and how that past life gave me another perspective on death as a living. So in that past life, I was a little girl. I was a little redheaded girl. I was living in Virginia, and a man killed me. And I'm just going to be brief with it. He took me to the field, and what I saw was myself leaving my body. There was blood coming out from my stomach. Um, but I saw my spirit just being released from this body, and I was looking down at the body. And as that was happening, my adult self, as I was going through the past life regression with a shaman, my adult self in this lifetime as May, I began to ask the question, who did this to me? Me meaning that little girl. And I just heard a voice, and this voice came forth and said, it doesn't matter. And I asked again. I was trying to like negotiate with it. I was like, hey, I'm not gonna go Google it. Like when I, came out of this trance, like I'm not gonna find out who that man is. I'm just curious on, why he did that to the girl, and I'm just curious. I don't have any anger or anything. And then I kept hearing, it doesn't matter. And I asked again, like, who did this to me? And I just kept hearing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then I finally got it. I was like, all right, it doesn't matter. And come to think of it, like it wouldn't matter if I found out who that person was or his name or whatever. I would just try to Google it and try to find some article that happened in like the 1800s to see if it's on the news, which is probably unlikely, or I don't know, So, but what I got from it was like from my soul's perspective, from like my higher self's perspective, it simply was just me transitioning into like from one physical reality to another physical reality, which was my last lifetime before this one. And that was just it. There was like no grief, there was like no anger towards that other soul that has ended that physical reality for me. And a lot of people can say like, oh, like that's so sad, like how is it, that's so sad, like that was in her time. But then to think about it, it's like maybe it was my time. Maybe I was supposed to go at 7. Who knew, you know? Maybe that was my life contract, you know? Maybe that was perfect the way that it played out. Maybe that was my agreement with that person to kind of figure some stuff out, you know? Because we came here in this earth to really experiment and experience limitation, experience devastation even, you know? And from how my soul sees it, it's just there's nothing but love there. And as I look back, like there's like this distance, like there's no accumulated emotional debris for it. And so I wonder, you know, I wonder, like I can't speak for those kids, but you know, we feel grief for them. We, as our adult self in this lifetime, feel grief for them because we see how wrong that it really is. Maybe because it might have reminded us where we have taken another life, or it just reminded us how out of alignment it is from Source, from the Creator, and from the plan of the Creator, right? But as I heard this channeled information from this lady, Nora Harold, and she channels the Pleiadian collective from the ninth dimension. And you know, they're talking about that event, and they said, you know, those souls that had left us, even the perpetrator, are actually very, very advanced souls. And what we can do about it is make this into a unifying experience. And I absolutely agree. When this experience happened, I heard from friends, well, friends on Facebook, but like what I heard from like the radio and people talking about it is that there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of